Oh, we got an 89 show first for you. James Palmer, Steve Smith Sr. with you. As always, Steve, we're doing Dynasty wide receiver rankings. This is your list. You've been working on this some time, but this is kind of something we've never really dipped the toe in before.
Nope.
This is new.
Pinky toe.
We're going slow here, but we have them down in tiers. We have some special categories Steve has created that might make you scratch your head or make you go, I might want to get that guy later in the draft, Steve, as we go through a Dynasty draft, and that's kind of what we're leading people through. We're going to start at the top, though. We're going to start at what Steve calls, a lot of people say, hey, this is the top group. Steve calls it the penthouse. We're going to start at the penthouse, Steve, and we're going to go through these 7 players, these 7 wide receivers that you have in there. This is the penthouse right here. Number 1, Ja'Marr Chase. Number 2, Puka Nacua. Number 3, Jackson Smith-Njigba. Number 4, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Number 5, CeeDee Lamb. Number 6, Justin Jefferson. And number 7, Drake London. The very first thing that jumps out at me, Steve, is we have 2 receivers above the Offensive Player of the Year in JSN. Run me through the top 3 and why they're in that order.
Well, you know Ja'Marr Chase and what they're going to do in Cincinnati. They're going to throw the football all over the lot. They don't care about running the ball. They don't care if their jobs are on the line. They are going to throw the football. Puka Nacua, with all things pointed in the right direction, fingers crossed, toes crossed, that he continues to go on the path of changing some of his off-the-field, off-season habits. But we all know he's a hell of a football player. And Sean McVay and Puka Nacua have a great relationship, especially in this type of system. Sean McVay will always go ahead and feed the lead dog. This year, though, however, with a Devontae Adams, he will also eat and do some different things. So that's why it's easy to put Puka at number 2, because he is not the outlier. He will be steady Eddie. He's going to get fed. Will he miss a game or 2 because of the way he plays football? Absolutely. Right? They play they're now in, I believe, a physical division.
Big time.
This division hasn't always been that way. But then, obviously, Jackson Smith-Njigba, JSN, reigning MVP, offensive MVP. He's a heck of a football player, dynamic. You know what he's going to do. But those 2 things that are really having me think about and having him at number 3, and understand, if you're in the top 3, that isn't a knock on you. That's just also saying we have to pick and we got to place it.
People are trying to see who to go with.
Yes. 1, having 119 receptions, almost 2,000 yards. Man, people are going to start paying attention to you a little bit. And also, 2, offensive coordinator has changed. True. Anytime you're the Super Bowl champs, teams are going to be giving you their best shot. And what's the best way to give the Seattle Seahawks their best shot? Is double and triple team JSN. They will have something creative to do, whether it's a linebacker, safety, at the line of scrimmage, and then the corner, there will have some technique, some kind of stunt that puts all the eyes on JSN. So that's going to impact them as well.
Okay. Yeah, we saw a lot of that this year, right, Steve? The way different teams are trying to find different ways to slow down JSN. The reason I have and I think Ja'Marr Chase should be 1. The yards after the catch are unbelievable. We know he has a top-tier quarterback, one of the best in the game, and this isn't changing. With Puka and JSN and where they're slotted, there's 2 things that I kind of wanted to run by you that I was curious about, because we're also obviously looking at things not just in 2026. It's 2026 and beyond when you're going through these drafts. So
that's the thing with the draft, this Dynasty draft that I really started to lean into, because I thought it was very interesting and creative that you're not just drafting for this year. Obviously, you want to win. You want to win a championship. You want to be lead dog of your dynasty and bragging rights. But then what was very, very tingling inside of my football mind is we're talking about guys long term. We're not just talking about this year of performance. We're not talking about having a down year of performance. We're talking about this year plus next year, right? This is general manager. You are stacking a team and have the ability to hold and keep guys for multiple years and multiple players, man, that right there makes me do a deep dive, and then my mind starts to go. And I start to try to figure out and say, hey, what about this guy? What about that guy? And yes, there's going to be some guys I forget or we glance over because, man, it's like you got a blank canvas, all the paint, you already know what you're going to do, but you're just trying to narrow in your focus, and it's really hard to do.
Yeah, it's true. And that's why I was asking you, with the way that Puka Nacua plays and the physicality he plays with, and I know you've told me before, you can't change the way he plays. So longevity to me is a question in terms of the way he throws his body around. And then Matthew Stafford could be done after this year. And his quarterback position is up in the air. But I do understand with JSN, Clint Kubiak got a head coaching job for a reason, right? He runs a really, really good offense. He's a really, really good coach. And so there is a change offensively as well. The reason I'm having this conversation with you, Steve, is like, we're new to this. Right? We're not like Dynasty experts. So we're trying to learn this with you. Jump in the comments, give us some advice, honestly, as we try to rank these guys as we go through. All these are unbelievably talented players. Also with JSN, the part before I move on to the next couple of guys is we had this long conversation with Brian Hartline. Go back and check that out. It's just an unbelievable. If you love receiver play, it's a great conversation Steve and I had with him. And really him diving into JSN and going, well, everything about him, it's not elite speed, it's not elite physicality, it's just like everything he does is perfect. To me, that's sustainable, right? Like just the way he plays the position so methodically, so mentally, and it's just, I think that's going to last for a long time in the way it's built. Okay, with Amon-Ra St. Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, you have an asterisk next to Justin Jefferson, and Drake London. And these are all really good players, high volume guys, a lot of them. Why are they in this order?
Well, they're just in this order because you already know that they're all of these guys are high volume guys. These guys also all have something, I believe, in common: elite. These guys are the number one wide receivers for their team. It isn't the number two guy is knocking on the door. That's not the case. Not even close. These are the dudes. And we all know when you're the dude, you get the penthouse, man.
These guys are all penthouse guys.
You ain't getting the other stuff. You're not getting gin pop, baby. Nope.
So you see Amon-Ra, by the way, in 4 just because you saw a change. You saw Ben Johnson leave. You saw him still produce.
Yes.
So that's not changing.
No, I don't think it's going to change. And with some of the acquisitions through free agency to enhance the defense, enhance the offense, add some more players, right? You think, I assume that all that's going to do is open up more lanes for Brown that maybe the year before it wasn't because they were missing somebody because of injury. Maybe because at times defenses did not necessarily respect the other guys on the field like they respect St. Brown. But now I think teams are starting to recognize this team, the Detroit Lions, offensively at least, they will be a handful and attack every level of your defense, whether Ben Johnson is there or not. And with their offensive coordinator now going to his second stint, he's getting a little bit more comfortable. He's getting the feel of the game. He's getting the feel of his players and calling. So I would expect the second year, things will get a little bit smoother and a little bit better and a little bit more fluid.
At number 5, Steve, you have CeeDee Lamb. And I think this is obviously a very consistent player, a down-the-field threat, can line up anywhere on the field. You've always told me, I don't know if there's a route in the playbook he can't run. He's an outstanding route runner. I know there's a little bit of, well, is Pickens going to stay after this year? Is Pickens going to take some targets this season? But I think if you just look at the player and where he's at, he belongs at 5. But what else could he be dealing with that maybe he deals with if you're picking him this year that maybe would be different down the road, whether Pickens is there or not?
It's just, it has to do with they were such a really good offense last year and didn't get too much credit. And, whether CD was healthy, he has some unforeseen injuries, but he's a guy that's pretty steady, Eddie.
Exactly.
Right? He doesn't miss
a couple weird
games.
drops this past year, by the way. Outside of that, he's always the same.
Look, every year you're going to have something out of the ordinary, especially from a tier 1, a penthouse guy like this. You're going to have something where they have drops or certain routes they just aren't running right now. And that's just because when you're a high volume guy, when you are elite route runner, producing, doing all of the things that he's doing, you're going to start to see a lot of attention, and you're going to just start to see some things that will make you seem out of character. But in my humble opinion, sitting there kind of like, 5 or 4 right there in the middle, we're splitting hairs. Whether he moves up to 4 or he moves up to 5 or down to 6.
Have we seen the best of CD yet, Steve?
I think we may see a better CD because you have now a second year with George Pickens on the roster, and so now you have a pretty good understanding of the flow of the game, what Pickens brings to the table, what CeeDee Lamb brings to the table, and then what is the most important? What is Dak Prescott, the quarterback? How is he more comfortable with certain passing, certain route concepts that he really was surprised at, that they were able to gel so quickly, right? And then you had with CeeDee Lamb getting injured a little bit. Now it was showing George Pickens how he became such a huge impact, and people were questioning, well, what is going to happen when the CeeDee Lamb effect, where he's sitting on the sideline and he took over games, right? And so it just it's kind of like the effect Devontae Adams had when Puka Nacua went down. It was like, oh, what do they do? And all of a sudden, then when they both came back, we saw something that we generally don't see out of our Los Angeles Rams, which is both guys eating, and not eating okay, but eating well on the same field at the exact same time, not because somebody's injured or somebody's on the sideline, he's in or out. They were able to really feature both of the guys that you don't see a lot out of Sean McVay's offense, but now they seem to figure it out. And I think that's the same case for CeeDee Lamb and George Pickens and the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, and I think there's a chance he can go to another level. You know what? Sometimes it's players go to another level, Steve. Contract, money, paper, those type of things. I think I just go back to the number of people I've talked to in that building, and there was a reason when the Micah Parsons trade happened, there were some conversations going like, who are the cornerstones of our building? Who are the guys that drive practice? Who are the hardest workers? Who are the guys that really are our identity as a team? It was Dak and CeeDee. And so there is that aspect of him. You have the asterisk next to Justin Jefferson. This is an interesting one to watch, right? Because we know he's still one of the best receivers in all of football.
Yes,
There's an argument in a lot of people's minds to say he's the best receiver in football, just because what he's done from the way he entered the league to now. But the route running is unbelievable. The consistency is unbelievable. His intelligence to play the position is unbelievable. Man, I just think about the struggles that Marvin Harrison Jr. had playing with Kyler Murray and not playing on time. And because KOC fixed some of those things, or I could find Justin Jefferson in a very similar situation. And what is his future? I don't think he's not the guy to ask himself to be traded, but does it get to a point to where his future is up in the air? Is the quarterback position up in the air? I just think there's a lot surrounding Justin Jefferson that is out of his hands, right? Yep. It's not his fault, but that is a part of the equation when you're going through dynasty rankings.
Well, you got to look and see, right, what does a guy like Justin Jefferson do for me currently right now and long term? And I think both of those go hand in hand in this situation at this critical and pivotal moment for him right now. Is he has a young quarterback, J.J. McCarthy, who's not very good right now.
I heard he sucks from a traffic stop.
And when I say not very good, I'm talking about not very good in comparison to, will this offense take a step back or forward? With JJ, this offense is taking a step backwards.
Yeah.
And with Kyler Murray, they go ahead and get him. And let's make this clear. Is Kyler Murray a good football player? Yes. Is he a finished product? No. Is he perfect? Absolutely not. However, when Kyler Murray is playing really good football, he's actually a football player. The question is not, can he play? The question is, will he play on time consistently, week in and week out? And the answer thus far is currently, before the start of this season, because we only can We only can judge or critique and coach up this day backwards. That's it.
True.
We can do the old cool. It's Gen Z. Clean slate. Man, there ain't no damn clean slate when you out here playing for some real coin now. When you out here doing some things, you are not gonna sit here and play the everybody's the same and we gotta give them give his ass the boot. That's what you need to do, because JJ is not gonna be sitting here, right, in his 20s going second year in a row, possibly going the third year in a row going, well, last year this didn't work out. This year looks like Dookie. And then next year I may be playing with another rookie quarterback that we hope can play. Man, your whole football life starts to flash before your eyes, and you out there already, one, frustrated. Out there, two, trying to figure out, man, if I run this route, is this Mamma Jamma going to actually throw me the football? And this isn't about Kyler Murray. This is just overall about the question marks about the offense. And so with that asterisk is saying this is an elite route runner, high volume. He's going to get his targets, loves Minnesota. But if you have him on your squad and you have him, man, you look at him and say, man, he's untouchable. But he's liquid, and he can bring me some other things. I can get it's like the NBA right now. The NBA trading is remarkable, bro. You're getting really good players. They getting everything. You getting an okay player, getting half of everything. It is such a spending spree. And I think with Justin Jefferson, he becomes a guy that you can utilize and get multiple picks. You can get your mama, the guy who's making a trade, get his mama's favorite meatloaf or his favorite dish,
Delicious.
and then go ahead and throw in some cash as well, because Justin Jefferson, he will be a high value guy. But how much can you count on him this year and next year? Man, we don't really know.
I know, that's tough. And again, it's mostly out of his hands. And we know that Kyler Murray went to this location, picked the Vikings, because he openly wants to change some things in the way he plays. And Kevin O'Connell has a reputation, Steve, of fixing some quarterbacks, getting them to play a certain way. So this could, so this could work out well for Justin Jefferson, or we could be seeing a dramatic turn that if you have him, maybe you try to make a move early and just cross your fingers and say, I don't think it's going to go well, or somebody goes and trades for him and thinks, this is going to go well. That's why I think he's really debatable, and it's nothing to do with him. With number 7 at the bottom of this list, and Drake London, I know some people are going to go, what's the quarterback situation going on down there? Does that impact him at all moving forward? Obviously, they have a battle, between two lefties right now. One in Michael Penix Jr. that honestly, this front office and this coaching staff had nothing to do with. They're all brand new, so there's no allegiance to Michael Penix. And Tua Tagovailoa, in my opinion, operating in Kevin Stefanski's offense, might be a decent fit. I don't know if the quarterback changes because of the way the roster's kind of constructed. Drake London's getting his. Is it changing with whoever wins this job, or what's going on there moving forward?
No, it's not going to change, because think about what Drake London was able to do with Michael Penix, with learning this offense. And let's not trying to throw any shade to Zach Robinson, the former offensive coordinator. He was really good, but Kevin Stefanski, he's a little bit better, right? And that's no shade to Zach, but
good career, yeah,
right. He had a great career, but Stefanski knows how to do things, and he knows how to work the system, whomever he's had to deal with. And you just go back and look at what he had to deal with in Cleveland and how they were at times successful. But Drake London was doing all of this without a Kevin Stefanski. And I'm hearing that Tua really is going to do some creative things, because one thing about Tua is he's extremely accurate and he loves to get the ball out quickly. Well, nothing's better than getting the ball out quickly to now, instead of the cheetah or Waddle, now you have a big body.
Yeah, ball placement, Steve.
Yes, a big body guy who can run, but also he can win on that slant, especially the way Tua throws on time, anticipation, then you sprinkle a little bit of creativity with Kevin Stefanski, and all of a sudden, Drake London is now teetering up this list where he may bump Ara St. Brown down to a 4. CeeDee Lamb moves up. Justin Jefferson all of a sudden starts to
shuffling.
He starts to get upset, and things go exactly the way Agent 89 had said it does. And then all of a sudden, Drake London starts to move up the chain because of unforeseen circumstances of other guys, but he's being steady Eddie and still catching his good passes and understanding that he's a dominant guy. And the last and most important part, they made some really good acquisitions on that roster for the Atlanta Falcons that puts the defense at a really difficult stage because Drake London is going to attack the level 1 and 2 of the offense. And you've seen him attack level 4, which is those are go routes, sideline balls, deep posts, intermediate. But then level 1 and 2 for me is, all the drag routes, slants, right? All the things where he can big body you, get past you, catch the ball, and make something happen. But he does also have that extra gear. And he has one of the best offensive-minded coaches who can draw up some creative plays, who also knows and thinks and understands that he will set you up for the first play to make the big play at the end of the game.
100%. And I think he has maybe the best offensive player on his team. Teams need to account for Bijan Robinson. You need to load the box.
Too.
You need to find a way to slow him down. So obviously that helps you out quite a bit if you're Drake London. One little in the weeds aspect of talking to coaches there. It is kind of interesting, Steve. I don't think he'll be blocking as much and as physical as he is in terms of plays that he's not getting the football with this offense as opposed to the one he was in last year. To me, that might make him a little bit fresher as a wide receiver because, man, he does block well. Like, honestly, he does a really good job of it. He was asked to do a lot of it with the previous regime. And, I mean, I know he was beat by the end of a lot of games, like just physically. So, well, it's interesting to see what him and Kevin Stefanski will be like. So that's the tier 1. That's the penthouse. I think it's a good order. I think everybody belongs in the penthouse first and foremost.
Yeah, so you could put some of these names ahead of guys back, and that's, first of all, we're talking about the top. We got these guys in the top 7. Man, you could argue and disagree, but at the end of the day, if you can get one of these guys, you're in a pretty good position.
Yeah. You want a reliable number 1? There's not a lot of them around. And all of these guys are truly that.
GLD is getting me straight. Listen, it has been hot here in Charlotte. It's been hot everywhere. And I'm off on those greens playing golf. And so I need to look the part because when I look the part, my golf game doesn't follow. But again, I still look the part. And it's been so hot, sweaty, but I still want to have a little look, trying to feel like, I'm still young and got some giddy up in my step, especially when I hit a 4. And GLD gives me that opportunity to play good, hopefully, look good, definitely, and thank GLD. So if you're looking for the opportunity to look as fresh and dope as me while y'all off on the golf course or just walking around, let's be honest, evening strolls when it gets cooler, GLD will get you right like they got me right. It's sweat-proof. It is waterproof, durable, lifetime protection. New customers get an insane deal. Use the 89 show to get 40% off at GLD.com. That's 40% off with the 89 show at GLD.com.
All right, Steve, moving on to tier 2, but you don't call it tier 2. It is knocking on the door. Pro Bowl contenders, there you go, who are high-impact guys, engine pieces. Number 8, Nico Collins out of Houston, Texas. That's an interesting one. Right behind him is going to be the Slim Reaper, Devontae Smith, followed by Christian Watson at 10, A.J. Brown at 11, George Pickens at 12, Chris Olave at 13, Malik Neighbors at 14, Rashee Rice at 15, T. Higgins 16, and T-Mac, Tetairoa McMillan, at 17. The first thing I have for you is Nico Collins is at the top of this group. I think, and I asked around the league, teams are, he's a number 1. Difficult to stay on the field of late. Offense has had some of its struggles. I think he is a number one player. But what I want to ask you is when we look at this entire group, and I see Nico Collins at the top, if you're looking at this in terms of a dynasty draft and you're putting your roster together, we know he's very talented. There's plenty of people I've talked to around the league that believe, yes, he is a surefire number one. He might be in our big dog category that we do at the start of every single year when we put these tiers together, just ranking players. But in terms of dynasty and putting a team together, there's some question marks in Houston with the quarterback situation, obviously. Is he in the best situation to draft out of this tier 2 group of knocking on the door? You think that if knocking on the door is a sense, do you think there's another level of Nico Collins that's has yet to be exposed?
I think it has been a level of Nico Collins that has yet to be really exposed. And because one, when Nico first came in the league, he quietly worked with Andre Johnson.
Big time.
You told me, and then I had the opportunity to confirm it with Dre himself. Not to say that I didn't believe you, but when you have the opportunity to confirm with the Hall of Famer, you just kind of take the opportunity just to go, all right, check.
What did Dre say?
Yeah, what did Dre say?
I've been working with him.
Yeah, I work with him.
He got talent, bro.
And so that took some time. But more than anything, what Nico Collins has to do with availability. But availability is part of it. The other part has to do with some of the other wide receivers on the squad who also are knocking on the door, who are also, because of his lack of being available at times, has given these guys opportunities to shine and say, hey, I deserve possibly a few more opportunities. And when you are earning more opportunities by happenstance, you naturally, as a number one wide receiver, you're going to feel those opportunities leave in passes because you start to see, oh, well, now I would get my 15 or 16 plays that I can count on, and now all of a sudden it's 10. That's not a knock, right?
Yeah.
Because you got to think about it.
You're trying to win football games, I mean.
Yes, and you got to run the football. The defense are going to do some things where that may be your play, but they do something to remove you from being available outlet. So all of a sudden now the defense takes the quarterback to someone else, to option 2 or option 3, or they run a twist where all of a sudden you got an audible, and then you got to run the football, and so the play doesn't even exist. So you got to put in the natural flow of the game and how teams are always going to try and slow down, take away, and reduce the workload of a true number one on every freaking team.
No, I get it. He's missed the better part of 10 games over the last 3 years. So if you're going to miss 20% of your games, that's not, if that's a trend, that's enough of a sample size. I would have a little bit of pause if I'm putting my roster together. Christian Watson has a little bit of the same thing. He's missed, I think, 20 games, right? Which is part of it. But I think the room's cleared out a little bit for him. And so I think there is a chance for some serious growth there with Jordan Love and obviously a really, really good play caller. So do you think the changes that Green Bay made to their receiver makes people, if they're putting their roster together, look at Christian Watson differently after now Wicks is gone and Romeo Doubs is gone and they've made some changes?
Yes. You look at, first of all, Jordan Love throws over 4,000 yards in 2025. They are a really good team. They go ahead and draft a ton of wide receivers over the last couple of years, and all these wide receivers have either not initially played well or played well and then in the second or third year have hit some injuries. And so that has really made this team, the Green Bay Packers as a whole, the wide receiver group, it's kind of made things a little fuzzy. Who's the true number one guy? Do they have a true number one guy? It has to be Christian Watson, but then he goes down. But more than anything for me has to be, right, he has 68 possible games that he's been able to play, right? He's missed 20 of those.
20 of them, yeah.
Right? He's averaging, out of the new season, the new 17, 18-week season, he's averaging 12 games a year, bro.
Yeah.
12 games a year.
That's an issue. That's seriously an issue.
That's the thing where he's knocking on the door. Can he play? Absolutely. He could do a lot of things. But can he be available? And some of the availability has nothing to do with him, right? You're tearing your ACL, that's football. But in regards of just talking about a player, and if there's a knock on him, it's availability. And you hope that this doesn't now and in the next 4 years be the same problem.
Totally. All right, Steve, the Slim Reaper. Like I mean, everybody was focused on the A.J. Brown portion of this.
Yep.
But I think Philadelphia was very comfortable. Obviously, they know how dynamic A.J. Brown is. Go back and watch our episode on what Philly is losing in A.J. Brown and what New England is gaining. But we also did an entire episode on Devontae Smith sliding into the number 1 spot. And this is a guy that I think he truly is knocking on the door, Steve.
He's knocking on the door. He can't get in the penthouse yet because the question mark is going to be with his new role. Will he continue to hit the numbers he's hitting, or will he up at an extra pace? Will he be able to now start to do some of the other things that some of these other guys are doing, right? And a lot of it, sometimes some people will say, well, that's the A.J. Brown effect.
Yep.
Well, no A.J. Brown now. So now you get to see, does Devontae Smith really understand who he is? And I believe that is going to be the case. But it's just going to take some time because there's still a question mark on the quarterback position. Can and will he, Jalen Hurts, make this adjustment to the new offense? Everybody's learning a new offense, a new role, a new terminology. And it may not all be different because a slant is still a slant.
Yep.
A go is still a go. However, how they call it and how they get to it sometimes varies, and that can make you think on the football field. And when you're thinking, it makes you a little bit slower.
It certainly does. My 2 cents before we move on is this. One, I have been told, Steve, I think Jalen Hurts ate a little humble pie this offseason, really has bought in big time to what Sean Mannion's trying to preach in this room, and how there's going to be some different things he's going to have to do that on paper it's not a perfect match, but if he buys in, and we all know that Jalen Hurts is a very hard worker and
yes, he
really puts in the time. So there some things that change. The second part is this. Nick Sirianni told me this directly. I still think we're scratching the surface with Devontae Smith in terms of what we can do with him on a football field. I think they were a little limited because of the schemes that they were running, Steve, on how they could use Devontae Smith. And now you have maybe a little bit more of a differing opinion and a fresh set of eyes going, wait, this guy can do this, this, and this. And in my system, we can have him do this, this, and this. And I think that's another part of where it goes to another level.
Yeah, it's all going to change. It's all going to be funny. But at the end of the day, right, it's all going to be how long does it take everyone, right? I'm not pinning on the quarterback. I'm not pinning on the wide receiver, head coach.
Hold the blocking scheme up front, honestly.
Yes.
For a good offensive line.
How does it work for everyone, and how fast are they going to be up to speed and ready to compete at a high level?
Yeah. And the next guy we're talking about in A.J. Brown, I don't think anybody's going to debate what they think the possible production is going to be. Go back and watch our breakdown of A.J. Brown in this new system that he's going to operate in with Drake May, with Josh McDaniels running that entire show. I don't think anybody's debating that, Steve. But is how much longer do you think A.J. Brown plays? Because in this world that we're talking about with Dynasty leagues, obviously you're planning for the present and the future at the same time. What do you think the longevity is for somebody that's going to put him on their roster, and how long am I going to have him at what we think is a high level?
Yes.
How much longer do I have him at that?
Well, with A.J. Brown, I really believe it's all going to all depend on how it goes in New England, right? Yeah. And when I say how it goes in New England, I'm talking about, does it go smooth enough to where he starts to feel like he's getting his joy back in playing football? When you start to get your joy back playing football, you start to go, hey, I think I can keep going another 4 or 5 years. But when you're going through some of the mental stuff that he's going through, you start to go, man, do I really feel like do I really kind of want to keep doing this? Right? And so that's why I have him there. And then you add the age, right? The age with the knee and managing. But
he's done great.
Yes. But here's the difference, though. And this is just me. The weather and the turf.
I knew you were going to say it. Well, hey, maybe Robert Kraft will keep that grass turf in there. That's for the World Cup. Nope. Go ahead.
Yeah.
I get it. No, it's cold. It's damp. It's turf. I do understand.
And
all
they practice
that.
on that turf as well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So they do spend a lot of time practicing inside that stadium, which is interesting.
Yes.
I think they're building a new facility, but I'm not sure A.J. Brown will be a part of that. All right, George Pickens.
Yep.
I mean, I think what everybody's curious about, Steve, is we saw the model citizen here in Dallas. I know Dak played a big part in that. I know CD played a part in it. I think his just joy of playing in Dallas played a part in it. And I think what everybody's going is, do I invest in a player like George Pickens, who you and I have talked to enough people around the league. He is as talented as anybody in that penthouse up there, right? His talent is right there. And we saw it, obviously, especially even when CD went down, that he can carry an offense in the passing game. But everybody wants to know, where is he going to be playing in the next couple of years? And is he going to be playing as the guy we saw in Pittsburgh, where he's blocking somebody out of bounds on a Hail Mary and doesn't even make himself available from the play? Or you see the guy that you saw during this year in Dallas, where you go, yeah, man, I can't wait for Jerry and everybody, hey, say, do it again. We want to see you do it again because we loved it. So I think those are the questions everybody has about George Pickens. Do you have any insight on maybe what we could see over the next couple of years? Because the talent is through the roof.
I think what we can see over the next few years, one, is if he gets in the right situation. Let's just say hypothetically he doesn't get re-signed in Dallas because of the money isn't right. Also, when I say the money isn't right, you got to remember these guys have representation. These guys also have projections. And the projection is, okay, I can catch a ton of passes and play with I can be teammates with CeeDee Lamb in Dallas and understand that star and understand the marketability. Or I can get this huge-ass bag from another team that may not be as good as Dallas. They may not have a CeeDee Lamb because he will become the CeeDee Lamb type. And then normally those teams aren't very good and don't have a number one.
Describe that wise, right? When you're spending big in free agency, there's usually a reason you are spending big in free agency.
There's a reason you were spending big, and you are part of the change that we're needing. So we're going to acquire you to change our misfortune into good fortune by paying you a fortune. So, you like that? You see, bro, I'm telling you, I'm
on it today.
Stirring up and cooking with gas today. Yeah. But I got an asterisk next to all four of these guys: George Pickens, Chris Olave, Malik Neighbors, and Rashid Rice. But with Pickens, why I have an asterisk is, at some point we all know he's probably not going to maintain his employment in Dallas.
Could be another year. They could tag him again.
They can tag him.
It could be another year, but then there's a lot of questions.
How does the second year of tag and what kind of George Pickens is you going to get? Are you going to get? And here's what I mean by that. George Pickens is the model citizen that was in Dallas, and he's also the George Pickens that was in Pittsburgh. And somewhere in the middle lies a really good dude. The question is, can he show up consistently under every circumstance? And I think I want to see, maybe if those circumstances start to present themselves, that he shows that he can handle them and not get distracted and start to get frustrated.
Yeah, I agree. The next two, I think really the asterisks of Chris Olave and Malik Neighbors are health, right? It's Chris Olave's history with concussions. We both believe he really can fly, man. You run some of those posts, some of those dig routes, some of that stuff that he can do, ridiculous. Second level. Explosive plays are all there. I think they've been trying to get a contract done for an eternity here with him. They want to keep him there, but there's obviously they want some protection because of those concussions. With Malik Neighbors, I think there's some genuine concern here. If anybody watched a certain dodgeball game, There's some genuine concern here. I know you don't want to rush him back. And again, in Dynasty, you're looking long term. He may not be the player, and I want your take on this, that maybe you'd want him to be in this first year back from a major knee injury. But I think what people are looking at is, what's he going to be like this year, then the following year, then the following year? Because he right now really is like, they made some decent moves, but without him, this is not a very good skill group in terms of catching the football.
No, it's not a very good skill group in catching the football because all of these guys are so much older. All of these guys have some wear and tear. Juju Smith-Schuster, he has some wear and tear. Odell Beckham Jr., he's a guy, prime example, tear a knee, and you don't always bounce back the same or better. Right? And that's my thing with Malik Neighbors is, man, based off that, he did not look like a guy who is ready to play in the first preseason game.
Yeah. And they're going to so heavily depend on him, right, Steve?
Yes.
I mean, when you look in the passing game, that's the concern
And they should
I have.
be heavily dependent on him because that's what they got him there for, and he's a heck of a football player. But the knee thing is something I'm going, man, he may not be 100%, but what are you willing to deal with is that he may not play the first 5 games. Can you handle that? Will you be able to stomach not having a Malik Neighbors produce for you for the next 5 weeks, and then the next 5 weeks he's getting back to football speed, learning how to run and operate under the new situation that he has, which meaning comfortability with his newly repaired knee. You just don't roll out of bed and go, bang, thou wow, give me 1,000 yards. That's not going to happen.
Yeah, that's the tough part. And I remember I went back and looked at our list. I mean, I looked at some of the notes that I had from coaches, and they were like, oh, he's well on his way into your guys' big dog category. He's well on his way into that. And that was before the season started. So obviously people have seen it. It's there. This is a really tough one. I don't even know. I don't have any added information right now during the dead period. They believe the second procedure, Steve, was to break up some scar tissue and kind of get that mobility back to help the rehab. But I think there's still a lot of unknowns surrounding Malik Neighbors, and that makes it difficult, and I think that's why you have him right here in the middle. With Rashee Rice, as we kind of finish out this kind of group here, with him and then T. Higgins and then T-Mac. With Rashee Rice, obviously, it's not that he can't play. I mean, the shallow crosses, the trust he has from Patrick Mahomes, the ability to run with the football after the catch. He's like a damn near running back when he has the football in his hands. All of that's outstanding. Is he going to be available to you? Is he going to be suspended by the league? Is there going to be something? I think the positive here, and I hate to put it this way, Andy Reid will give a guy 1,000 chances. He's maybe with the right organization to keep getting chances. But is that why he's in the spot that he's in, that he's down at 14 and there's an asterisk? Because there's just other things surrounding him. I remember draft process. There were a number of teams didn't even have him on their board because of things that were happening coming out of Baylor. So is that why he's in the position, and do you see him turning this around? Or do you see this being something, if you put him on your team, you're going to have to deal with for the next 3-4 years?
Well, just to usually you guys are correcting me. Rashee Rice, you said Baylor is actually SMU.
SMU, yeah.
Boom, baby.
Steve, look at you.
Striking gold. But there were.
Nice work. All right, John, calm down. All right.
With Rashee Rice, there were some decision-making question marks about him coming out of SMU. And you also remember he was not ready and prepared for an Andy Reid type of practice. He was puking. So all I'm trying to say is I'm giving you a little bit of context of Rashee Rice is still figuring out how to be a professional, okay? That's not a knock. That's just being open and honest. And guess what? Hell, I'm still 47. I'm still trying to learn how to be a professional some days because you don't always know everything.
That's what I was going to ask you. You spent 16 years in this league, and so do you have a gauge on like how long is too long where you go, this guy ain't going to figure it out yet? You know what I mean? Just like I know it's a case-by-case basis with each guy. So, and some guys it does take longer than others. And with everybody, I'm hoping they figure it out.
With Rice, which is interesting, some are believing he's not going to figure it out, right? But for me, looking really knocking on the board with an asterisk is football-wise, you just add the football stuff. He hasn't taken that step that we all hoped he'd take that step either. We also thought that he would start to take over the offense.
That was the thought.
And fill in like a Tyreek Hill, and we just haven't gotten that. Let's be honest. Neither one of the wide receivers for the Kansas City Chiefs have really stepped up and taken ownership as a true number one because of Travis Kelce. You know, he's only got a couple of more years left. He's going to retire whether he wants to or not. But Rashee Rice and Xavier Worthy have both a little bit, I think, kind of left people wondering and wanting more and not stepping forward as of yet. And I think people are starting to get impatient a little bit.
I think so. When he had more receiving yards in year one than he did in 2 and 3 combined, Steve, and then you look at some of these other things that are happening, I think that the question that people around the league, when we were preparing for this, was like, I don't know how much I can trust him. Like, I think he can play. I just don't know how much you're going to rely on him. And that's what you're looking for when you're putting together a dynasty roster. All right, T. Higgins, T-Mac, anything on either one of these guys? I know you have some interesting thoughts on T-Mac, but with T. Higgins first, I mean, he's just an outstanding number 2, maybe the best 2 in football. He's got 21 touchdowns in 27 games over the last 2 years. And so, like, he produces constantly. He's got a great quarterback. Is there anything to question here, or is this just like a steady Eddie type of T. Higgins situation?
It's a steady Eddie. He can climb. He could easily be ahead of some of these other guys, but some of these other guys are true number ones for their team. T. Higgins is a true number one on another team, but he is a number 2 behind Jamar Chase. And so the reason that there's no question mark is, you know, if something happens to Jamar Chase, whether teams are taking Jamar Chase out of the game plan like they have done in the past, how has either Joe Burrow or Joe Flacco, how have they got back in a football game? Throwing the ball up to T. Higgins. This Batman and Robin duo, or Batman A, Batman B, has always been outstanding, right? And when the money started to flow, there had been some questions like, man, is he going to try to get this big contract for another team? He was smart. He stayed out. He stayed with his partner in crime, with Jamar Chase, and all of a sudden, things are looking up. Now, when we go down to T-Mac and the Carolina Panthers, right, rookie year, right, for all the things that were said by me on the question mark of, do I like him or not? Yes, I like him. But you also have to critique and be critical and nitpick. And he goes out there and just does what he does is shut Steve Smith up and company. But I was just alone by myself in any question marks.
Yeah, you were.
Because, you know, I'm only solo when I'm wrong. I'm only solo when I'm right. When I'm wrong, everybody knew I was going to be wrong. Yeah. But if you go back and look at the episode of that year, he was my number 2 wide receiver. So if you really don't like somebody, being number 2 is generally not the place that they kind of hover. But I digress. Let me tell you about T-Mac, and what I'm wondering about is sophomore slump. The sophomore slump is real, not in regards of the player. Sophomore slump is teams understand this kid or this young man can play, and now we need to slow him down by throwing something different at him. Pressed him up last year, balled. So let's kind of sit back a little bit, not press him. Let's throw a little bit of creativity to confuse the quarterback and the offensive line, which ultimately will confuse the whole offense, throw off the timing, and all of a sudden numbers are down. So that's why I'm saying the sophomore slump. But I also believe with that, now that they have Mechie and also now with the blossoming of Jalen Coker, that he's knocking on the door. I can easily see T-Mac kind of moving up. You know, I can put him really behind an A.J. Brown because, again, the other four guys are question marks because of team situation. When we look at the Carolina Panthers, we're not saying team situation is critical. We're actually saying, can this team be better, right? So think about it. Can the team be better, will the player have a better impact? Because the team's success, he's part of why that team is getting better and how he plays football. So that's really the question mark of what and when does a sophomore year slump come in effect, and how long or how many games does it last?
Yeah, that's a great point. I love that. And I think the way he approaches this, Steve, you've been around there a lot. I think he is setting himself up to figure that out on the fly in year 2, right? Like, he does have a good understanding of space. He does have a good high football IQ. He does have a way to kind of feel this out. But you're right. It's going to be a lot of, whoa, I haven't seen this in the league yet. Like, you know what I mean? On certain games, he lines up on Sunday. Oh, okay, we got to figure this out. But he is a purifier number 1. I love that you said there's a chance you could slide him up.
AG1, if you're like me, but not everybody is like me, if you're heading out to Maine, Charlotte, Florida, it doesn't matter where you're going, you always have a routine. And what does your routine look like when you're not at home? For me, my routine has to start with AG1, top of the day. 1 scoop, 8 ounces of water. Every morning, AG1 keeps me going, maintains my energy. Especially 4th of July just passed. We got barbecue galore. So especially with me traveling, supports my immune health, but also I've had some cheat days. I've had some days where I haven't always eaten good, and AG1 has my back with the support gut help. It is all that I need. Fills in the common nutrient gaps. AG1 is a daily health drink with multivitamin, pre and probiotic, and my favorite, superfoods. And most of all, 1 scoop, 8 ounces of water. Let me say it again, 8 ounces of water. A lot of times we get something, we think, man, 12 ounces, 21 ounces. Nah, 8 ounces of water, and it will keep you going. I got my license to chill out this summer, but I've been staying up late and having some long weekends and some spontaneous plans. So AG1 is there to help me keep one thing consistent: high quality nutritional support each and every day. And I start my morning off with AG1. Visit drinkag1.com/89show to get a free AG1 travel case with 7 free AG1 travel packs in your welcome kit with your first AG1 subscription. Travel packs in your welcome kit with your first AG1 subscription order while supplies last. That's drinkag1.com/89show.
Steve, usually when you do one of these lists, it's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3. No, before we get to tier 3, we have a Steve Smith special right here.
Yep.
And it is the gray area. I love that you came up with this. I love that you came up with this, because it's not so black and white. It's not so cut and dry with some of these guys because of the situation with them and where they're at in their careers and everything that's around them. This is the gray area. We have 5 players in the gray area. This is, they can play, but you're unsure how things are going to shape up for them in 26 and moving forward. I love this. So number 1 is DJ Moore, new team with the Bills. We have Garrett Wilson, who nobody's ever doubted Garrett Wilson and the player, but it's just everything around him with the Jets. Number 3, Ladd McConkey. I'm very interested why he's there. Emeka Egbuka at number 4, and Jalen Coker, you mentioned him, at number 5. With the gray area, Steve, we have a player that's changed teams, a player that has had quarterback indecision, a player that has an offense changing in Ladd McConkey. We have Emeka Egbuka sliding into a new role, and Jalen Coker, who has kind of just come out of nowhere and is now going to be that running mate for T-Mac.
For some, he's come out of nowhere.
Not for Steve Smith Sr., not for 89. I get it. But with all of that said, and everybody kind of having a new role, a new spot, just first off, who has the biggest change that they're going to be dealing with that people picking are going to have to figure out? Is it DJ Moore with a new team?
No.
He knows Joe Brady. Is it?
Yeah, no, it's not. That's why DJ Moore is at the top, because I believe out of this list, he has the least amount of troubles to concern himself with, because he's familiar with some of the people in the organization, because they were with him when he got drafted in Carolina with Buffalo with the current general manager. Brandon Beane was the assistant general manager. He was in Carolina, the offensive coordinator. The play caller / head coach is Joe Brady. He was offense coordinator when he was drafted in Carolina. Right, so it's easy. He knows the system. He knows the expectation of the head coach. So that's not a problem and a play caller at all. Right. the three guys that I think are extremely interesting and not really sure how it's going to play out to him is Garrett Wilson. Yes, my cousin Geno Smith, he can play football, but last year with the Las Vegas Raiders, a little bit shocking. Kind of showed you a little bit that sometimes it doesn't always it doesn't always go as you plan it to go, especially when you don't have the same individuals, meaning coordinators who understand you and the same type of players, and maybe, well, let's call it a really good offensive line that can actually block, that would really help you stay with your eyes down the field instead of dropping them and watching a rush. So that's what Garrett Wilson and the New York Jets.
Let me think about this with Garrett Wilson. Are you playing into having him right behind DJ Moore? Because yes, in 26 there are still plenty of questions. I don't think anybody doubts him as a player and what he can do. But then you add Omar Cooper Jr. You look at the skill group that's coming together. They signed Breece Hall to stay there for the long haul. They have 3 picks in the first round. If you have him on your roster, or you're looking to put him on your roster when you're going through this draft process, I'm sitting here going like, well, if they get the quarterback at the top of the draft in 27, and they have this group that's kind of coming together here, like, this might be a slow build. It would, nobody wants to admit that, Steve, but it might be years 28 and 29 and 30. Like, he's booming, in all honesty. He could.
And that's crazy. We have to wait to think that far out.
Jets fans are like, I know, I've gone through the waiting process before,
and that's
James.
why I say it's the gray area, because Geno Smith Geno Smith, whether you like him or you think whatever your thoughts are, Geno Smith does really throw a really good deep pass.
Yeah.
So, and Garrett Wilson can get going. So that's always going to be something that's available to him. But you also have to understand they got to see what Omar Cooper Jr. has to do, Adonai Mitchell, what he's got going on. So there's a lot of different things and elements that are out of his control, right? You've heard a number of players say you worry and concern about the controllables. Well, Garrett Wilson's controllables is him running a good route. Everything else about his job is outside of his control.
Totally
and let's be honest, and it ain't looking great either.
Just ask Garrett. With Ladd, Steve, I'm fascinated by Ladd and Emeka because they're both young players, and they're both really the number one receiver on their respective teams now, right? Emeka slides in to really that being his room, in my opinion. I know Chris Godwin, you and I, the way we think about him, outstanding football player.
Adore him.
But this is really Emeka's room, it looks like, as they've kind of moved on from Mike Evans, and now he kind of takes over. But with Ladd, I think the fascination is, I remember talking to coaches 2 years ago, Steve. It was like the best rookies that we've had to deal with, the best players that get us the most trouble. It's Brock Bowers and then Ladd McConkey. He's number 2. Like, that's how highly some people thought of him. Everything went wrong last year with the tackles going down, the offensive line issues. But what I want to know is, and everybody else, as you look forward to Mike McDaniels running this offense, and all the tight ends that they signed, and Jim Harbaugh being in love with tight ends, and obviously to run the football. Do targets change? Does volume change over the next couple of years for Ladd McConkey?
I don't think it changes over the next couple of years. I do believe it's just going to change for him this year. And the change, I think he's going to get a lot more yards. I don't think he's going to have as much volume and catches, but I think he's going to get back into the 1,000 yards. If I'm not mistaken, he either had 800 or 900 yards, so he's a little bit shorter than what he was able to do his rookie season. But then also, I don't care what Mike McDaniels did when he was with the San Francisco 49ers, when he was in Miami. Jim Harbaugh is going to run the football.
100%.
I don't give a fandango what you think. He is going to run the ball. That's who he is.
Yep.
He got J.J. McCarthy drafted as a number one, as a first-round draft pick quarterback with a very limited throwing. 15 to 17 passes he was throwing per game? Jim didn't get to the pros and go, no, I'm not doing that. We're changing it. So Mike McDaniels, who was their run game coordinator with the San Francisco 49ers, he's got to get back and show people that the fancy Mike McDaniels is not there. He's there with the creativity, but he's not stuck on Chuck where he can't run the football because Jim Harbaugh is going to run the football.
100%. They'll go heavy personnel, Steve, try to force guys to get into the box. Maybe you go single high, and then you take some play action shots to Ladd and Quentin Johnson, these other guys down the field. So I think you're right. It might be fewer targets. It might be more yards, honestly, for Ladd, which is an interesting one. All right, I got to get to Jalen Coker. This is the Panthers' number 2 that's going to be opposite of T-Mac. Everybody's going to be wondering why he is in this group here, Steve. You need to give an explanation. Are we going to see a player that is going to break out in 26 and be a real force in 27 and 28? Like, is this somebody that maybe, if they're watching this, get him later in their draft and go, I snaked everybody else in this league?
Well, he's already running with the ones, and he is more and more comfortable and has a ton of confidence, and he also wants to prove that the extension he got, he can probably get some more money because they got him on a discount. This guy can attack level 3 and 2 of the football field, which is he's not a fast guy. But you know he reminds me of a little bit where he lacks the deep speed, but his creativity is off the charts and he's always able to get just enough separation to make the great catch. DeAndre Hopkins to D-Hop.
Whoa.
He really knows how to. He knows he's not fast, and that's not a problem from him. It's just all these other speed whores who are out here wondering, well, he doesn't run this and he doesn't run that. Yeah, and doesn't matter. His football IQ is off the charts, and he has such a strong desire to make plays, to prove and show all the people who passed up. People are forgetting. This is a kid who went undrafted. So all these other folk had the opportunity to draft him. They didn't.
No, they did not.
Then he gets cut on the final cut day.
Anybody swoop in there, Steve?
Huh?
Anybody swoop in there? Another team?
No.
No.
Makes it through waivers. On the practice squad for a little bit. Bing dong. Up there. Now he's number 2, running opposite of T-Mac. Starting wide receiver in the National Football League undrafted. And he's going to be a heck of a dynamic football player. But how much of an impact and what does it look like? I'm not going to act like I know. I'm just saying, hey, if he plays the way I think he can play and the way he's starting to show, I think he's gonna quickly jump up into tier 2. Or he's going to drop down to tier 3 where he's going to have great, he's strong production, good upside. But I don't really know right now because outside of this year, we don't really know. We haven't really been comfortable to say, hey, we can expect this.
Interesting. I do know with one of the things that made Hop very successul in some of his stops was the chemistry with the receiver, with the quarterback. Him and Deshaun had this kind of unspoken feel for each other. I do know that Coker and Bryce Young spend a ton of time together.
Yes, they do.
Working on chemistry, working on each other, getting a feel for each other. I do know that's big. And then my little note here before we finish this section up is, with Emeka Egbuka, Steve, remember his rookie year, he was forced to play 3 different positions.
Yeah.
And that's a lot on a guy, even as prepared as Emeka Egbuka was coming into the league. So now this new offensive staff coming in, talking to them a little bit, they have a very distinct plan. They are over the moon about what they think they can do with him as a number 1. And a healthier Chris Godwin, I think, also helps ease that transition into that spot, right? In this first year that he's going to be taking over. I think he is a pretty high ceiling there with Emeka Egbuka.
He sure does. He really does have a high ceiling. And I also forgot a guy. You know, when we start going on, I still forgot him, right? So let me say what Emeka Egbuka. Emeka Egbuka is he's this great area of, he played a lot of different positions last year, his rookie year, but he also went against some top-tier corners, and at times he was learning how to play and win against these guys.
Yeah, with cloud coverage, Steve, with over-the-top guys and stuff.
Yes,
he already saw
coverage,
all that.
jam, press, getting held, but he's a rookie, so he doesn't get the veteran. He doesn't get the veteran kind of like, hey, ref, hey, you know what I'm saying? This ain't supposed to be happening now. He's not supposed to be allowed to touch thou jersey like that. Hey, Rook, win a little bit more, and we may call that. But until then, hey, keep your mouth closed and keep it pushing, son.
Appreciate it. Yeah.
So, so number 6, we need to add it on here right now in the gray area. It got to be Thou Wow consistently, Mr. Mike Evans, now with the San Francisco 49ers, right? I make this joke every time, and I say it, and I'll say it again. First of all, for some of you people who think I'm saying it out of shade, I'm actually saying it out of
respect.
How does this dude do this? He takes a 2 or 3 game vacation,
hammy break,
and still comes out 1,000 yards. So that is always impressive. And so that gray area for me is one. You have this facility. This who killed? Did Oswald kill JFK? Right? Are there really aliens?
Electrical magnetic? I mean, yeah.
So you got the San Francisco 49ers practice facility kind of question. And then you, at the same time, you also got Mike Evans' hamstring thing that he always seems to have at the exact same time and still gets 1,000 yards. So that gray area has to be consistency. You know the San Francisco 49ers, they're always hit with the injury bug. And then also, right, I think he's going to have a really good season because Brock Purdy loves to throw and anticipate throwing the football down the field. And what does Mike Evans do? Anticipate how defenses are playing, and then he makes himself friendly to the quarterback. Doesn't matter who is throwing him the football, he's going to make a play. And so that's what I expect. I'm just not sure how quickly this will evolve for Mike Evans and the San Francisco 49ers and moving across the country with Kyle Shanahan.
Okay, one sentence. How much longer does he play, though? Because this is an investment.
He signed a 3-year deal for some buku. So I would say he probably goes in there 2 years. I'd say you'll probably get a good 2 years out of him. He's a short-term play. You know, he's a put-and-call guy. Mike Evans is this guy who can take your team over the top. He adds that little bit of veteran. First of all, he's a veteran. Second of all, he's played with so many different quarterbacks and offenses. This offense by Kyle Shanahan, the type of receiver that Mike Evans is with Kyle Shanahan, this is perfecto, because he knows exactly what player Mike Evans is, and Mike Evans knows exactly what he wants, which is the football.
Hey, who did Kyle Shanahan have, Steve? Big body guys, maybe towards the end of their career. Let's see, Andre Johnson, Julio Jones. I think he knows how to work with these type of players and figure out different ways to get in football, especially against man, by the way. And Kyle can dictate what defenses do very well and set Mike up for success. Yeah.
Yep.
All right, after gray area, Steve, I have a little category here. If you call it the climb, strong production upside, solid value with flex foundation, lower floors, but may maintain starter roles with younger players and high volume type of players. So there are some younger players in this group right here. There's some rookies, certainly. Some leagues might pick rookies a little bit higher than this, but this is the group we have put together for the climb. And we're going to go through some of these guys. We're going to start with 15. Khalil Shakir is at the top of this group, followed by Zay Flowers. Ooh, we're big Zay fans on this show. Next, Devontae Adams. A lot of these people are at different points in their career here. Carnell Tate, first receiver off the board, followed by Mekhi Lemon, Jordan Tyson, and Jahan Dotson. I think this, like, if Jahan Dotson's family watches 89, they really probably enjoy their time, because Steve is a big Jahan Dotson fan. Right now, when I look at Tier 3 and the climb, I think what I look at, with excluding the rookies out of this group, Steve.
Okay, do that.
This is a group. No. As I break this down, this is a group. When I look at Khalil Shakir, Zay Flowers, and Jahan Dotson specifically, Devontae Adams is a future Hall of Famer. If I look at these other three, I would say that their perception as talented wide receivers and what their viewpoint is from coaches in the NFL to Joe Fan are very different. These three players, Steve, when I ask around, Khalil Shakir, Zay Flowers, and Jahan Dotson, coaches are all like, dude can ball. Guy can really play. Guy can really play. And I just wanted to put that out there, that like the perception of these three, I think you have them in a really great spot, because most people around the league think these guys can really play.
They can. Right? These guys can really play, and these guys are crazy productive.
And they haven't reached their ceiling.
Yeah, but they haven't hit their ceiling. And some of the reasons that they haven't hit their ceiling has nothing to actually do with them, right? Zay Flowers is not walking around going, ooh, right, they're not giving me the football. No, they've had some issues in Baltimore that has to do with either availability of the starting quarterback, right? Zay Flowers, then he gets injured, and then the decline of the team in itself, And then with Shakir, that one has to do with, that between the hashes, he's going to play well, but they haven't been able to have anybody on the outside that can really take the pressure off of all of the guys that they like to ball and play between the hashes, which is Shakir, Kincaid, and Knox. Well, they haven't had anybody really to make the defense go, woohoo, hey, over here, plus two outside the numbers, you need to fear me. They haven't had that. But now with a DJ Moore who can move all around, he is now going to free up some space for Shakir. And it's Joe Brady's priority and responsibility and his mortgage payment to make sure and figure out, can we start to take this offense to another level so we can also let Josh Allen not play hero ball and really just sit back and be more comfortable with going through his progressions instead of scrambling around and trying to make something happen to get his wide receivers open on different various ways, because the traditional way outside the numbers for the Buffalo Bills last year was a little bit inconsistent.
Yeah, I like how polite you were there with a little bit inconsistent. And you mentioned Joe Brady. I had that conversation with him at the Combine. We were done our interview, Steve, and he was like, I'm going to do so much more with Khalil moving forward. Like, he's such a good player. There's different ways I can use him. And so keep an eye on him getting used a variety of ways. With Zay, Steve, this is a guy that you've said over and over again has gotten better each and every year. He's still a young receiver, but his IQ is really high. He's figured out space really well. He sets up corners very, very well. If you look at some of the advanced data, he gets open regularly. He gets open a lot. Do you have him above Davante Adams because, like, he's younger? He is essentially their one. Davante Adams is, I guess you're going to have him probably for a shorter period of time. Puka's there as well. Is that why Zay Flowers is in the spot he's in? Okay.
Yeah, this right here is more about availability, age, right? And then trying to figure out, because what I've learned is Dynasty is not about just this year. It's about this year and the next few years. And I'm just not confident that I can say we will watch Davante Adams play for the next 5 years.
Yeah, it's been fun, and it's been great. It was great last year, but
but I just don't see him playing another 5 years.
I could see them, Steve, if they win the Super Bowl and they're the favorite in everybody's mind, obviously with having the addition of Myles Garrett now. I could see them winning and him retiring. Like, I could see that being something that could possibly happen. Him and Stafford. I could see it in a whole new world in there. And then it might change your thoughts on Puka. All right, let's go through these three rookies. And just tell me why they're in the order they're in when you have Tate, Lemon, and then Jordan Tyson. I would say, obviously, all of them are also playing, Jalen Hurts is an older quarterback, a Super Bowl winning quarterback, a Super Bowl MVP, I guess. But there are some questions there, and the other two guys are playing with younger quarterbacks. What do you see in the order there and why you have them?
Well, Colonel Tate, why he was in that order. So some of these people, there's an argument of he wasn't necessarily the best wide receiver. And here's what I personally think. I do think Jordan Tyson, I believe, coming out of college this year, if you remove Tyson's injuries, and he had a few injuries, I think he could be considered and is arguably a better wide receiver than Cornell Tate. But I can't remove the injuries. I can't say that if woulda, coulda, I don't do analysis of hypotheticals. I'm only doing it on reality.
And Steve, every GM that is acting in these dynasty leagues is thinking like actual GMs. And I think that played a role in every GM that I talked to when they were putting their list together on these receivers.
And why Cornell Tate is struck like gold for me. Damn, Dayball is his coordinator. And Dayball knows how to get a route runner the football. Yeah. Cornell Tate is playing offense, playing wide receiver with Calvin Ridley, which is, I believe, Dayball was instrumental at not getting Calvin Ridley going because he was like, I need a speed guy. I need a guy that's going to attack the fourth level of the defense that gets things open. And then Wan'Dale Robinson, who was with Dayball, who had 1,000 yards, who balled last year with the last couple of years under Dayball. So he's there. So guess what? Cornell Tate, he is not taken in the top 4, 5 in the draft so he can catch a slant. That boy is going to be featured. And Dayball wants to show everybody, hey, yo, it wasn't me that needed to be fired. It was what I was working with overall, and it got a little fuzzy. And someone had to be responsible, take responsibility. And Dayball was the man that had to take responsibility, has taken responsibility, and I think you're going to see a different offense by the Tennessee Titans. And why? Because this young man is an excellent route runner, hard worker, and what you see is what you get.
I get it. And if you look at these three, Cornell Tate is the one for the Titans. Makai Lemon is not the one for the Philadelphia Eagles. And Jordan Tyson is not the one for the New Orleans Saints. And so they are going to highly contribute, right? They're probably both considered a 2. I don't know if Wicks might be the 2 there, but you could say Lemon might be the 2 in Philly. But, Jordan Tyson's going to be the 2 to Chris Olave. Yep. I just look, and before we move on, I just have a quick one on Makai Lemon.
Yep.
People are going to go, this is an investment for me. Obviously, Philadelphia has had up and down picks with receivers, but Devontae Smith, who we haven't mentioned, by the way, and I'd like to say I'd put Devontae Smith in the 2s, but that's just my opinion. But you have Devontae Smith as your new number 1, Steve, and Lemon's going to be his running mate. He's going to play the middle of the field. I'm just curious, for length of his career. Yeah. Can he, at 5'11", 192 pounds, live in the middle of an NFL football field for the next dozen years?
Doesn't have a choice. That's its role.
Yeah.
Right. So teams or fans, whoever you are, you go, oh, I don't think he can play that. Doesn't matter what you think. That's what they drafted him for. That is his position. Unless he tells you or shows you that he can do something different, majority of his body of work is going to be in the inside. And this offense is built to feed and grow your wide receivers by getting them to play in between the hashes. Makai Lemon, I think he's gonna have real good production. One of the things though that he gets a hall pass sometimes, and a lot of people are saying, well, man, elite contested catches.
Yes.
I'm not necessarily sure that's going to translate as elite on day one, where he's never played in the National Football League. And so
he's tough, he's competitive, but it's different.
Hey, my guy always says it, a great philosopher. He said it's like a Tyson. Hey, everybody has a plan until you get punched in the mouth. So, okay, I want to see him get punched in the mouth and see how he responds. Okay, that's what I want to see.
Well, I want to know how the comments respond to Jahan Dotson down here at the end of this group, Steve. You might be the only person that would put Jahan Dotson in tier 3. But like I mentioned, a lot of the people in the NFL aren't playing this game, but they will tell you this guy can play.
This guy can play. I saw Jahan Dotson earlier in the year when I was just looking at A.J. Brown and I was doing some work on the Slim Reaper, and he just popped up. He just kept popping up. I'm like, hey, whoa, what is going on with this guy? So I'm going in there, right? And so here's what it is. He has speed. Man, he can sink his hips, right? He gets in and out of his breaks, attacks the ball, has improved. He's improved on his route running, his strength, in running his routes overall. From being drafted to a guy that you're not really sure, you've seen his game improve dramatically over and over. And I saw confidence grow every game with the Philadelphia Eagles, but he wasn't getting the passes though.
No, he was open. Probably led the league in getting open and not getting the ball.
Yes, That's the part that's encouraging. When you got a guy that's skipping to the line, he's showing some giddy up in his step and not getting the football, not putting his head down and running and jogging back to the line of scrimmage or jogging back to the huddle, knowing damn well he's running this route in between the hashes, but he ain't getting the football. But he's still showing up each and every day with a smile on his face. Man, that's a guy who is grateful and looking for the opportunity, and now he has the opportunity in Atlanta, and I think he's going to take the bull by the horns. He's going to ride that thing, ride it all the way to knocking on the door. Well, the future of hiring looks much brighter. And because ZipRecruiter's latest tool and features helps speed up finding the right people for your roles. And let me tell you, right now in the summer of football season, these teams are going through resumes. But the resumes aren't on paper. They got to see it on the field. They're waiting for the right candidates to apply. These rookies have applied. And finding these candidates and knowing that they're not actively looking for a job, they trying to snatch those jobs and get it because the potential candidates are rookies. But the old heads, the veterans, are trying to keep their jobs, and they're trying to use ZipRecruiter as well and to use their latest tools and features to help speed up finding the right people for the right roles. Over 320,000 new resumes are added to ZipRecruiter monthly, which means you can reach more potential hires and fill roles even sooner. The biggest issue is qualified candidates, but guess what? With ZipRecruiters and their new advanced, they make it easy to connect and, most important, within minutes. And if you go to ZipRecruiter.com/89show right now, I'm talking about right now, you can try it for free. Again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/89show. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire.
Steve, I have a little category here that I really like that you came up with, which is flight risk. Everybody here can play. I mean,
yeah, they
really
can
play. But there is something that gives you pause with probably all of them. Yeah. We're going to go with Jameson Williams, Scary Terry McLaurin, Rome Odunze, Alec Pierce, Marvin Harrison Jr., and Jalen Waddle.
Yep.
Again, all these guys can play, and they've all shown you that they can play in this league. But when you look at concerns in terms of length you're going to have these guys, I think that might play a factor, and their role might play a factor. When you look at somebody like Terry McLaurin, is the situation and where he's at as that scary number 30 age is right there, Steve. Does that give you pause on where he's at? Because he still is a great player.
He's a great player who has been through a lot with his current team. And unfortunately, you and I both know they're going to reward him by at some point letting him go.
Yep, 100%.
Right? And what is the offense going to look like? How is this offense going to look like? Are they going to throw the ball? Are they going to run the ball? Who and where and what and why? And we really can't answer any of these questions with the Commanders. And so when you have those questions, you're just kind of like, you're scared. You rather be disappointed you didn't pull the trigger and grab him because he's balling than he's on your team and he's just kind of putting along and causing you games here and there because you have a fantastic football player who is just being marginalized by just the inability of this offense to really understand what type of players that they have.
It's hard, Steve, to rely on a player when he has, and Terry has this in his game, where like there's a Monday night game that everybody's watching, and he just on his own carries that offense, and you've seen it, and you go, man, I can't believe he's doing this. Like you don't want to say that because that means then it's not like it's hard for him to do that. It's hard for him to accomplish it. He has no running mate right now. No, really. I mean, you have a lot of like questions about the coaching staff and about the front office right now. And does that change again if things don't go well? Like
it will.
This, you know what I mean? So there's just a lot surrounding him there. I think Jameson Williams is like, the speed is there. Obviously, we talked about it at the top of the show, and Amara St. Brown draws a lot of attention. But then there's some other things that you're you're scratching your head wondering because he's had some opportunities to see, can you slide into a bigger role?
Yes.
And it hasn't fully happened.
It has not fully happened. And, people that are watching this may say, oh, Scary Terry or Jameson, they have a running mate, so that'd be easy. Yes, just because they have a running mate doesn't mean that will equal to success for that particular player. Mm-hmm. It will equal success for their running mate because their running mate is either established in who they are and the opposing defenses know who they are. But with J-Mo, you're kind of waiting for him to take on this role that you thought he was ready. And when Ara St. Brown went down, we were kind of waiting for J-Mo to get going. And he never really got going in the way that everybody expected.
Yeah.
He was going, but he wasn't going.
Yeah.
He wasn't having those splash plays that we're used to when St. Brown is on the field.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a really good point. Alec Pierce, Steve, I mean, him and Rome are, and actually, we got a lot of ones on here on teams, obviously, like Scary Terry and Rome Odunze and Alec Pierce and Marvin Harrison Jr. and Jalen Waddle. These are ones, but there's kind of a question mark with a lot of them. Alec Pierce, is it just because it's just we haven't seen him in the role yet? We haven't seen a proven aspect of it. You have an aging running back who really is the focal point of the offense, but Jonathan Taylor's outstanding. That's not going to be able to help you for the next 5 years, probably.
Well, he had this cleanup, so he's not going to be available. I think probably week one.
That's a good point,
right?
Mm-hmm.
But man, this new role is a little bit different because Daniel Jones coming back from torn Achilles.
Yep.
Then you got Josh Downs, who they need to really give him the football and give him an opportunity to showcase who he has. Mm-hmm. And the elephant in the room has to be Michael Pittman Jr. is no longer there.
That was your safety
So
blanket.
with him, so when he's no longer there, now Alex Pierce becomes the security blanket. Now Alex Pierce has to be the guy who gets open. He has to make that adjustment. And I'm not sure how it's going to work out. Not because I doubt him. I think it's going to be some growing pains. Then it'll all flush itself out. But how long is it going to take? And are you willing to sit there and stomach, maybe getting 100 yards, one or two, maybe not getting 100 yards, 1 or 2 games. Mm-hmm. And you need to be okay with that.
I like that a lot.
And I don't think most fantasy people, when you say a wide receiver not getting 100 yards, a true number one, nah, fantasy people do not tolerate that bull crap.
No, they do not.
They'll slide in your DM, start cussing you out.
Marvin Harrison Jr.
Yeah.
I kind of see this one, Steve, kind of going in this direction.
I do too.
Because it's only a matter of time. And there are some people in the league, Steve, and curious what your take on this is, that sometimes bigger receivers take a little bit longer. He can't rely on speed. He can't rely and have that in his back pocket to where, like, if things don't go well, I can do this. But at the same time, I just think he might be in a better offensive system moving forward. And I think that, to me, might be what's beneficial to him.
I hope he's in a better offensive system. But some of Marvin Harrison Jr.'s issues actually wasn't Marvin Harrison Jr. Mm-hmm. So you got to let this year kind of play out to say, is it Marvin Harrison Jr.?
Yeah.
Is he capable of doing this, or is it the offense? Because if Carson Beck is playing and Jacoby Brissett, right, in his holdout, if it backfires, who knows what that's going to look like?
Yeah, it's. I just know that I talked to defensive coaches that have played them, like in joint practices where you're studying everything about it, and they're like, "Bro, dude was open every play. He's just open." And so they could have a new quarterback in 27 at the top of the draft, and things skyrocket, and all of a sudden it's.
So think about this. Think about what you just said. Mm-hmm. You just asked me, how is it going to go, and you just said they could have a new quarterback in 2027.
Well, they will.
Okay, they will. So that means what in 2026?
I think he learns the system. I
Okay.
think he plays in a system that's going to understand him really well. I don't know if the production. That's why it's a flight risk. That's I don't know if it's going to happen in 26. I just think there's just too much talent. And he's too good of a player, and I've been told too much about him that there's no way this goes his career and doesn't click. Like there's no way it goes long term and doesn't click. But I'm like,
That makes sense.
You know what I mean? I just
Yeah.
And then all right, Rome and Jalen Waddle. Where you want to go? What do you think?
I mean, both of these guys, in my opinion, are on the up and up. I think Rome is a little bit more of a guy who we have more question marks. With Waddle is gonna be a really good player for the Denver Broncos, but it's also Waddle kind of misses. He gives me. I'm waiting for that big dog moment, and I just don't see it yet. Now I hope to see it because he's playing now in a division. They're going to force him to be a little bit more vocal. They're going to force him to have a less of a smile, more of a scowl on his face because how physical and how much these teams really professionally dislike, and they have to win every game within their division, and so it gets a little bit more physical, and it's less hee hee ha ha, and it's actually more is more fisticuffs, fist fighting the phone booth.
I like that. We always do things a little bit differently here on 89, right, Steve? So this group that we're getting into here, this hot stove group, this is kind of the group where it's like maybe a week or 2, 3 weeks. Maybe this guy is just on fire and fuego. I'm not sure if the consistency continues through the duration of the season, but man, you might get some peaks and some valleys, but the peaks might be really high. This is an interesting group that I want you to break down. Isaac Tesla, Casey Concepcion, Bryce Lance, the speedster, brother of Trey Lance down there in New Orleans. Chris Brazzell, you've had a chance to see him in person. Luther Burden, I think a lot of people are going to be curious about that because some people think he's got a big role there with Ben Johnson. Jacoby Lane, ooh, I like that one. Xavier Worthy, we're just kind of waiting. We've seen flashes, we're waiting. Dazon Stribling, this was a really good one. Remember, we went and broke him down in our favorite fits, actually, the rookie. Tyquan Thornton, who you and I are very high on, and I think that's going to be an interesting one I want you to put a note on. Jalen Naylor, who signs in free agency with the Raiders, and then Rashid Shaheed goes back to Seattle on a new contract. I think you're right. There's some flashes here. There's some speed downfield for some big explosive plays. Anybody you want to touch on? Because to me, the name that jumps out the most is Luther Burden, as he's getting into another year and maybe a larger role in Chicago. And everybody's going to go, Steve, what do you mean by peaks and valleys? There's no DJ Moore there. Doesn't he have a bigger, more consistent role in this passing game?
He does have a more consistent role in this passing game, and he will do some things, right? When you look at him, where his short area, intermediate, in space, right? He's going to be there. But you forgot there's another guy, short area, space, Loveland. That's where he roams.
And they love Loveland.
Right? So you're going to have a Luther Burden who is going to have some splash plays. He's going to have a ton of yak. But he's also going to be no longer a surprise for teams. There is going to be an expectation, and we also know what Roman Dunze has been able to be for, he didn't get it, but for the Iceman, right?
He didn't get it, but the Iceman.
Yes.
I wanted him to get it.
Why Luther Burden is a little bit not higher is because we also don't know what they're going to do with the run game, Loveland. There's a lot of question marks. And when there's a lot of question marks, we also know that the young guy, Luther Burden came on really good, but it took him a little bit of time. And so is a guy going to be thrust into, because of injuries, into the starting role to be the number two who becomes by default some weeks the number one because of maybe injuries. But Loveland is still that guy who is going to catch a lot more passes, and that's going to have an impact on Burton and Roman Dunze, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that'll also play a part in this, Steve, is we do believe Ben Johnson has the ability to maximize receivers. We've seen it, and we've seen his ability to get the most out of guys. And I'm not going to doubt at all he's doing that in Chicago. But if they can't continue to find a way for Caleb Williams to be more accurate, I think he was 32nd, right, in terms of his completion percentage last year. What Luther Burden does best, honestly, his yards after the catch is really good. Get him the football to do something with. And if you can't consistently do that quickly, it's difficult. Okay, some other guys. Casey Concepcion is a young guy that I think some people believe has some serious juice, but the drops are kind of an issue. Bryce Lane, maybe more of a developmental type of player that could be,
but they love his speed, though.
Yes, the speed is something. Man, that's a fast group down there, by the way.
Yes, it is.
That they have. And that turf's
really
quick.
fast.
You played on that, Steve, plenty. You can move. You can move down there in New Orleans.
You can. You'll be hurting tomorrow.
Always makes my back hurt.
Be good
it does. That turf is brutal on you, by the way. Is there anybody else here that really, really you wanted to mention? Because I think Thornton, to me, Tyquan Thornton, with the question marks, we've already gone over touching on Rashee Rice and the question marks surrounding him, Xavier Worthy, the question marks surrounding him. There's a lot of trust Patrick Mahomes has in Thornton. And could this be one of the more consistent pass catchers through the course of 17 games? And maybe there's opportunities with both of these guys having up and downs in Worthy and Rashee Rice that you could have some really splash weeks for Tyquan Thornton.
Tyquan Thornton, just watching his film, he did have some splash plays. And I think the splash plays are going to be a lot less, and you're going to start to see a little bit more consistency because they are looking for some players to really step up. Because when you move up a little bit on my list and you see a name named Xavier Worthy, Xavier Worthy, for me, man, is he starting to become the new...
I know what you're going
to
say. Mecole Hardman?
Is he becoming the new Mecole Hardman Jr., where you're always, you know what kind of speed he has, but you're always going, okay, this is the game. This is the game. And his route tree has yet to ever blossom fully.
Yeah. There's guys like that, Steve. And how do you, as an analyst and a former player, when do you go, it's not going to change or it is going to change? With Mecole Hardman, Marvin Mims, Xavier Worthy, when do you finally go, it isn't going to grow or it is going to grow? Are you seeing that?
I think year 3 is a tell. It is a tell, or it gives you yes, it's a tell. It's a tell of, man, is he gonna get it? Because the first couple of years when you're in an offense, especially coming from college, there's so many things you have not experienced professionally and as a young adult.
Okay.
Right? So you go from, think about it. You could be at one of the best schools, top schools in the world, but unless it's Notre Dame, you're not really going to experience what the National Football now is giving guys opportunity. You got guys now that are playing.
Okay.
No, look. You got guys now are playing in other countries. That in itself, where you maybe just played outside of, you go from college, you're small town, you're playing now College Station or, Death Valley, you're playing those places, you go, wow. Then you go to National Football League and you're going, holy smokes. Then you got guys opening up in Australia. Now, they just started this. But Australia, on most guys' list, it ain't there to visit. Now, I've been there, spent 2 weeks. Excellent place. Their summers are winter, so I highly recommend it. But you aren't experiencing that. And so year 3 for Xavier Worthy is critical because you start to see, can he get the little nuances that we have been practicing and preaching and browbeating him over the head with the playbook or with the iPad? Do this, do that, stance, this way, acceleration, deceleration, breakdown, all of those things now you want to see, do I have to keep reminding you? Do I have to keep telling you and giving you visual aids? Are you a visual learner or do you have to do it? Those are all the questions that these guys start to go and check off, and they start to say, okay, these are the areas, and this is how he learns. This is how he retains information. Here are the routes that he really runs excellent, and here are the routes he really needs some work on. I don't think I can say legitimately that there's a route that you can say that Xavier Worthy runs that you go, man, that's his route. I don't know.
A go? I don't.
That's not a route. As a wide receiver,
Yeah.
I'll tell you all the time, that's not a route.
I know.
That's an action.
Yeah, that's a good point. All right, I agree with that. I actually really do. The player on this list that I'll mention before we move on is Dazon Streebling. I think if you're looking and you're going through your draft, and we mentioned Mike Evans, and we mentioned what do you have Mike for? Maybe 2 years. Ricky Pearsall, I think this shows a big fan of Slick Rick for sure.
Yeah. What year is this for him?
Year 3. And so, I mean, if we could give him a pass on year 1, but
Still year 3?
still year 3. I think Streebling, it could be a really successful long play
Yes.
for you if you're putting your roster together, Steve.
He could be a really good
He might be their one eventually. Like this group right here, he has maybe. I mean, Naylor's probably their one in Vegas right now, but I'm looking at like where his future lies with Kyle Shanahan, with Brock Purdy, with like that's a really good situation to be in. Honestly,
I have him on the hot stove because
he's
Mike
got to
Evans
develop
is there.
more too, though. There's
Right.
more growth that has to happen.
Mike Evans is there. Ricky Pearsall. Juwan Jennings left, which there was their consistent guy. He has the body type like Juwan Jennings.
That's the replacement. Yeah.
Yes, but Juwan Jennings has been Mr. Reliable. He actually has missed the least amount of games and has been rewarded the least amount of things.
True. Great blocker, and so is Streebling. Both of them.
Yeah, you're such a good blocker. Get your ass down in Minnesota.
Thanks for doing the dirty work.
Thanks for your pay raise. What you think this is? You think we appreciate that?
Appreciate it. But I think about it, Steve, if you look at the ages of George Kittle and Christian McCaffrey and Mike Evans, like he might be able to learn from all these guys. Play as he will learn. Well, it's up to him whether he soaks it all in. Well, but play a very specific role, and then man, in the next 5 years, this could be something we're really talking about. I'm looking at ceiling right now with all of these guys. I like that one.
Yeah. So the guy there's two guys that really stand out.
All right, hit on those.
Chris Brazzell, because he hits that level 3 and level 4 with some real speed. Man, he did some things in practice, and they were just telling me they knew he can run, but it was like, damn, that boy can run.
Yeah.
Right? When they use the same word twice, that boy can run. He just puts him on a different level. And Coach Canals and those guys are extremely excited that he adds another level to that offense the way they had hoped Xavier Legette would do, and it just hasn't. Okay. So they're saying, listen, Xavier Legette, we want you here. We love you. We drafted you for a reason. But we also are trying to win some football games, and this train is gonna move whether you're on it or not. Yep. And we're gonna grab some guys at a good at a good value. And Chris Brazzell is one of those guys at a good value. Now his route tree, right, with the Carolina Panthers, he's learning it to how to run those routes that they want him to run in the league. Totally. Now, can he run every route? He's not a finished product, so he's working on them. Okay. But what they are looking for him to do is he adds another level to this offense for the Panthers that just puts them in a very unique, special place. And the biggest question is, too, with all of these new weapons that they currently have for the Carolina Panthers, some weeks guys are just not gonna be able to hit the numbers. And I think Chris Brazzell will be, because he's a rookie, he will be one of those guys he's gonna have that 125-yard game because he's gonna catch a 50, 60-yard bomb that no one's gonna be able to catch him. And then he's gonna have a 70, 80-yard play. So on there. And then Bryce Lance, same thing, speed. right? He's a young guy who's eager beaver. He's in the building, ready to learn. But he also does have a limited route tree too. But what's not limited is that speed. And you know by watching the film and doing the breakdown, the one thing that he has to improve his route tree, but what he doesn't have to improve is his speed on the field.
Big time. We did an entire breakdown on Bryce Lance. So go back and watch that
Sure did.
on the channel. It was outstanding. Also, if you already had Jalen Naylor on your team, it's a completely different role now, Steve, from going to a 3 to the position he's in now. I think that's a player that maybe you keep on your roster.
Yeah, you got to keep him on your roster, but you also got to understand he may be the number one wide receiver.
He's not the number one target.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He's not the number one target. And then Rashid Shaheed, he's a guy with the Seattle Seahawks. Man, he is an all-around football player. But you can't sit here and narrow it down and say he is a elite route runner. You don't need to be an elite route runner. All you need him to do is just make the plays that they're going to give him, and it's going to be on special teams, and it's going to be some kind of play. And he went out there in free agent and saw what his value was and what he was hoping to make, and he realized the best position would be him to go right back with Clint Kubiak in Seattle. And so I think that's going to play very well for him.
But Clint's not going to be there.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Man. So, again, that's exactly why he thought he's probably going to get paid in Las Vegas. And they said, nah, homie. So he took his ass right back to Seattle. So, again, either way, he went out there. A lot of teams do this. When they look at a free agent, they go, hey, go out there and see what you value. Man, them boys come back. All right, I'll take it.
That was what Bill Belichick was famous for, Steve. Go check the market and then come back and talk.
Yeah, go check the market. That boy checked the market and said, the market's broken.
All right. Buried treasure. This is what we're going to go to.
Arr.
These are the sleepers. That's the term that everybody else uses. We have 2 here we want to mention, and I love them both, honestly. Jeremy Bernard. And man, we liked his breakdown. That was a fun one, actually, that we did during our draft breakdowns. And he winds up in a very interesting spot in Pittsburgh. And then Troy Franklin, as he's entering what year, Steve?
3rd.
They're in Denver, and I think you have a reason why. We'll start with Troy Franklin, why you think this could be a sleeper, because it's of an addition that maybe the eyes are all focused there, and Troy Franklin benefits.
Well, there's a lot of banter and talk going on in Denver, especially with me and you. Has to be the new offensive coordinator, and how much is Davis Webb going to be able to put his personal spin on it, being a former quarterback, understanding and seeing the field completely, and understanding they have to take that step forward with Knicks. So Troy Franklin is, for me, this buried treasure because you got the Waddle effect.
Yep.
Waddle is the number 1 wide receiver. Cortland Sutton is the big contested catch guy who understands that his career is starting to wind down a little bit. But Franklin, with all of the speed, he just can really do some creative things. If you watch him back in college, he was able to get in and out of some things because of his small frame and because of his speed and his willingness to go across the middle. In his 3rd year, he really hit some bumps in the road. He didn't have the career that he was hoping to have. He didn't get drafted as high as he thought he was going to get drafted. So he has some things to prove to people, but he's a lot more comfortable because the people around him rely on him. And Waddle is the best thing happening for Troy Franklin because no matter what you think of Waddle, he will get a lot of attention, and they're going to run him in some areas that Troy Franklin doesn't, but then they're going to give Troy Franklin some plays that Waddle doesn't necessarily do well. And then never forget, Cortland Sutton is out there just making plays after plays.
Yeah, just like the most underrated, like just consistent player of just ball goes up, he'll go up and get it. It doesn't get picked off. He's going to casually get it. He's going to be good in the red zone. He's played with 1 million quarterbacks. And I think the part that you're mentioning to me that stands out, Steve, is when I talked to people in Denver after the trade, it was, we love that Jalen Waddle spreads out defenses horizontally. And
Yes.
it's because when he runs and he plays, where do eyes go? They all follow him. And then you got Troy Franklin making moves, and I do know that they thought the jump from year 1 to year 2 was outstanding. I know they're hoping for the same type of jump from 2 to 3. Already has a relationship with Knicks. I think that's a really good one. With Jeremy Bernard, I really like this one because he is like everything that I think Pittsburgh Steelers fans want in a player. He's tough. He's physical. He can kind of be moved around. He doesn't get bumped off his routes real well, Steve. Like he stays. Defenders' contact doesn't really affect him at all. I feel like then you get your first year to work with a guy like Aaron Rodgers, and you have veterans like DK Metcalf and Michael Pittman in your room. I think he's set up to start this career really, really well. And I think the way he plays the game, tell me if I'm wrong, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to like him.
Aaron Rodgers is going to really like him. If you go back and look at our breakdown, right, a lot of where he's done his work, short and behind the line of scrimmage. Nothing, 20-plus explosive plays hadn't really been utilized that way. But I still don't think he'll be utilized that way either with the Steelers because you have Michael Pittman Jr., you have the big body swole bones, DK Metcalf, and so now you could put in a Jeremy
Bernard and
Jeremy Bernard and put him in there and let him just go to work. This is a kid last year only had one drop, right? His whole career at multiple places, right? He was 1 year at Michigan State, 1 year at Washington, 2 years at Alabama. Different scenery, geographical location, different coaching staff, different climates. 4 drops in his whole football career. Not too shabby.
Not too shabby at all. And that's the one thing that Aaron Rodgers is still great at, Steve, which is accuracy, getting the ball out quickly, getting it to you where you can do something with it. I think that's really where this might be a buried treasure here. How about the vault as we finish this up, Steve? The vault. We know there's some good stuff in there, but how much of that good stuff is there? And do we think we're going to see it? And when are we going to see it? These might be players that you could maybe hold on to, and it may not really come to fruition right away, Steve. But we could have some real players here. In the vault, we have Ted Hurst III. We loved our breakdown on him. Denzel Boston, Zachariah Branch, Omar Cooper Jr., and Skylar Bell. These are, I think we did a breakdown on every single one of these players during the draft period. Who do you think out of this group, if everybody's looking at these guys and they're available, who makes an immediate impact first? I think I got mine.
You go first.
I think Denzel Boston makes the immediate impact first out of this group.
I got a 3-way tie.
You got a 3-way tie? Okay.
I have a 3-way tie.
Okay.
I got Boston, Branch, and Cooper Jr.
Okay.
Because all of these guys are going to, I don't think they're going to start.
I think Denzel Boston's going to start.
Okay, well, so you get,
That's just my gut.
Well, so I'm looking at, I can see that. Yeah, you're right. But when I say these 3 guys are a tie, because they're going to play some type of role on their offense. Whether is it as big as you would like it to be, or is it a more pitch and catch, on a pitch count, situational, that it may be all the above, but these are guys that you just, you A&E it, man. This is a show. Hoarders. You just sit and store it up.
And just go one day, man. I'm not going to open this action figure.
No.
But the starting lineup is going to be worth something.
It's going to be worth something. Man, it's shiny. You don't know his actual value, but you just don't, don't tell anybody the password, how to get in. Yeah. Right? And, so Denzel Boston, though, he's one of those guys, I don't know why, but people almost have forgot about him over the argument over who should be the first wide receiver taking over the board. He's just been so steady, Eddie. He big boys you. And he's a guy that he's just gonna get better, right?
Yeah.
These are all, in my humble opinion, these are all long-term investments that you buy it, you put it away, you don't even look at it. Don't day trade, don't watch it. Just go, all right.
Yeah. I love that. And the reason I'm feeling this about Boston, talks to people in Cleveland, like he was the MVP of the spring, Steve. Like
Really?
that's how well he played.
Wow.
They'd like to get him on the field as much as possible in 26. That's what they're feeling going into camp. We'll see how camp goes and the pads come on. But I from what our breakdowns were and the way you talked about him, I think when the pads come on, there's physicality. He almost gets better. Like he contested catches, strong hands, doesn't get bumped off routes. Like he is a physical guy that can play on the outside. I think people get so obsessed with speed, they just forget this kid can play football. And he can move really well for a bigger receiver. Just the quarterback situation is just something you just don't know what it's going to be like. But they got some young talent around it. With Ted,
Excuse me? You know exactly what the quarterback situation is going to look like. Up in the air, and you hope it works out. That's what it's going to look like.
There you go. I think if we're looking at long plays, and I loved our breakdown of Ted Hurst III, do you think this is a guy that, let's say in 2 years, 3 years, this room that we're looking at in Tampa is like Emeka Egbuka and Ted Hurst III are running mates. And they're built differently and attack defenses differently, so I think they can complement each other well. Could he be a surefire X in this league, Steve?
He's going to be a surefire X in this league, and it really has to do with how his size and his ability just to go up and get the football. But you also don't have to throw the kid into the fire.
That's the best
into
part.
the fray
Proper
immediately.
development.
Right? You just go over there and say, man, I just want him to develop. Yes, he can play football. He will play football. But let's not overload him and put so much on his plate that we almost stun his growth. And so that's why Ted Hurst III is a really good long play. You just, you sit and watch and wait, man. He's not a chia pet, man. It's not you don't get him and then pour water in there and then 2 days later he's full grown. No.
Chia. How about Skylar Bell? Is this a chance that we see him as the third receiver on the field? Like Shakir's going to always be on the field, and DJ Moore is going to always be on the field. Is there a chance he could show enough this offseason and in camp that it's like, okay, I think the third guy going onto the field is going to be Skylar Bell? Now we know we got 2 tight ends, but at the same time, when they go 3 wide, Steve, does he have that ability to get into that in year 1?
I think he does have that, and I'm snickering because the 89 Show fans know exactly why I'm snickering. But I'm not gonna go be Captain Petty yet. It's too early in the game. We haven't even. 4th of July hasn't even come yet.
There's a lot of stuff he can do.
There's a lot of things he can do, and the people who were drafted in a couple of years prior to him, they were hoping that he can do that. Except this young man will actually do it, and it would translate to the game on Sunday.
Let me ask you this.
Yes.
When we did our breakdown of Skylar Bell, it was like, man, one of the things that he had in his back pocket coming into the league was he was their offense, right? At UConn. All the focus was on Skylar Bell, everything. What is it like when you go from that at college to now you're going to be walking out there and you go, man, they got to worry about both our tight ends, Khalil Shakir and DJ Moore. Is it a different? I mean, obviously the league is a whole step up, so I'm not disregarding like corners are better, everything is better. But the attention you're getting from a defense is very different for him coming into this situation.
I think here's why I think Skylar Bell will shock some people, but at the same time, he's going to be up and down a little bit.
Yeah, of course.
And you don't put too much pressure on him. Man, he's what, the 4th wide receiver?
Probably.
So the 4th wide receiver is going against who?
4th corner.
And a lot of the 4th corners on most teams are guys who have been around the league, who well traveled, or
a lot of them are going to play special teams.
Or where were they last year? They were in college playing against him. He's going to be playing against guys that he already played against.
Interesting. I didn't think about that.
So guess what?
Yeah.
Easy work, right? And so when I say easy work, I'm not saying it's a guaranteed 1,000-yard season. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is you have a younger guy who possibly can have a little bit more success than you anticipate because the type of guys he's going against were guys that he just was playing against a year ago.
Yeah.
So it's peer to peer.
Okay.
Right?
It is peer to peer. I get
Freshman or rookie versus rookie.
Yeah.
Or let's say it's a veteran. Not very good veteran going against not a very finished product wide receiver who's a rookie. Mm-hmm. Same thing.
Okay. I get it. All right, before we go, this is going to be the one that a lot of people are going to be curious about.
For me, Branch, though.
Oh, you're going to go Branch before Cooper? Okay.
I want to go Branch before Cooper, and we can end with Branches. We can end with Cooper because everybody wants to know. With Branch, you have, man, Kevin Stefanski has quietly done some really good things in Atlanta, and shout out to Matty Ice, Matt Ryan, who's been really diligent and pretty impressive on some of the moves that he has been making in the front office, head coach, all that stuff. And so Zachariah Branch has shown that he's still going to do what he does, right? Yards after catch, that's what he did in college. But then you line him up next to a Kyle Pitts underneath. And all of a sudden, things get really interesting because you have to figure out, do we put a really good skilled player? Because Branch has that same pedigree that Bell has, is if he's going against the same college players he went against last year, man, he's going to play really well.
Yeah, true.
And so that's going to put your defense in a real big problem because you're going up against guys that he knows that he's better than.
I actually was thinking of just you put him like they're right on the back of Drake London. And some formations like that where just, let's hide him real quick. Let's get a ball out to him quick.
Stack.
I like that. All right. Omar Cooper Jr. People are going to be curious about this, Steve, because obviously this is a high draft pick at the receiver position. And people going, okay, shouldn't he be the running mate to Garrett Wilson right out of the gate? And we're going to see a lot of production right away. What's the reason you have him in the vault right now?
Well, he's going to play in the slot. He's going to be a high volume guy. They're going to throw him the football in the slot. But I don't think he's a finished product. I really believe that he's going to get some good coaching. But he's also he's not going to be playing with a quarterback that he played with last year. He's not going to be playing in an offense that's really has developed around him. He now has to figure out, how does he fit in the offense where he was the guy at Indiana and everything revolved around him? It's revolving around Garrett Wilson. Whether the Jets are good or bad, the offense shall not and will not revolve around Amari Cooper because you have Garrett Wilson. I said Amari.
That's right.
Omar Cooper.
Yep.
Sorry.
Because you have Garrett. I get it. What we're trying to always figure out, and it's funny, he's in a very similar situation than when we talked about Mekhi Lemon, where it's like you're going to have to play in the middle of the field. Now, we do think this is a physical dude. I mean, especially with the ball in his hands. I mean, he is outstanding. But it's funny, they're almost in the exact same situation, Steve, where both teams also drafted a young pass-catching tight end as well, where it's, he has Kenyon Sadiq that's going to be playing in that middle of the field with him as well. And the same thing.
And they plan on throwing him the football.
Exactly. Same thing with Eli Stowers and Malik and Mekhi Lemon. They're both playing in the middle of the field. They're going to need some balls. So I wanted to just finish with this and just going, how do you know with guys that play the style of football that Omar Cooper plays translates to the league? How do you know that is pads when you're going to start really knowing? Or
yes, it's going to be pads when you start really knowing, when they start implementing these plays that the defense hasn't already seen. So they're going to start all over in training camp. And what's going to happen is there are going to be some plays that are carryover. But the playbook is going to be much more wide open. And they're going to give Cooper Jr. some opportunity to see what routes does he run really well and what are some of the routes that he needs to work on.
Okay.
And that's going to be some give and take. You're not always going to be like, yay, he looks really good. Sometimes you're going to be like, right? He needs a little bit more work. Yeah. Because here's the thing. Let's just say hypothetically, Garrett Wilson is down this week. and they're playing the New England Patriots. That means Omar Cooper Jr. is playing against one of the best corners in the league, Gonzo. Mm-hmm. He ain't about to just roll out of bed and outmuscle Gonzo or run a route and just, big boy him. Gonzo ain't no, he ain't no chump now.
That's why I'm asking it, because he didn't come out as like a polished elite route runner. You know what I mean? So like,
no, he's not.
Yes,
and there's nothing wrong with that.
No, it's not.
And he's not.
Everybody's translating their own way.
Is he a national champion? Yes, but he's not an elite route runner yet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, love it, Steve. This was fun, man. Like this is new for us, right?
It's very new.
Thinking like a GM putting those caps on. So jump in the comments. Tell us what you think about kind of like where we put guys, and we'll all learn this a little bit together. But we hope you learned a lot of insight in terms of just like why these guys are slotted to where we thought they were because of the intel that we have, Steve. So this, I mean, I know you put a ton of work into this. So maybe you will no longer work on 89 down the road, and you will be a future GM. I don't know.
You think?
Have you ever wanted to be a GM?
I did at one point. I wanted to be a GM, and then I started to realize all this stuff, and I was like, let's just start a podcast.
Well, it's successful. Go read about it on Awful Announcing.